All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our May meeting of the Transportation Public Facilities and Public Works Committee meeting. Attendance-wise, myself, Bill McPartlin, Elena Finnan, Supervisor Puccioni, Ray Smith, Matt Yeto, Beth Greenwood, Dan Loki, Aliza Misbahi, and Jean Fody is also here. Okay, the minutes from the last meeting were sent out to everyone on email, so I will accept a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
A motion.
Motion, thank you. Second, please. Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Our minutes from both sections of the meeting from last month are approved, and we'll start with Ray, Transportation and Public Facilities. No, you want to start with the town resident? Yeah, do you have something you'd like to speak about this morning?
If I speak now, can I speak later, or is this it?
Well, there's two portions of the meeting. Is there something in particular, one of each section that you'd like to speak about?
I'm curious about.
Come up to the microphone and state your name and address.
Sorry. My name's Aliza Misbahi, and I live on Story Avenue in the Flat Park near Regent. I'm here because I'm interested in what happens in the streets, and I'm particularly interested in how many vehicles the town owns, and also the paving schedule, how they come about that.
Okay, we're going to
And-
speak to that this morning.
Well, yeah, I saw it. There's all sorts of interesting things on the agenda. And also the schedule of the sweeper and how many sweepers we have, and what are the laws that require us to run the sweepers that dig up our roads.
Okay, I think Ray can answer that about the sweeper, Ray.
Okay, so the sweeper, we have two.
Is your mic on, Ray?
The highway department has two sweepers. We sweep the town 3 times a year. Each road 3 times a year. Generally once now to clean up the debris on the road from salting and sanding, and to any kind of sod or dirt that is left on the roads from the winter time. You'll see a sweeper again midsummer, especially during paving season to prep for paving. The asphalt has to be clean for us to get good adhesion to the blacktop underneath, but cleaning is crucial for that.
I understand. So you say 3 times a year, and
Yeah.
one is prep for paving, but yet you don't pave all the roads every year. So
We don't
that-
pave all the roads, but it is considered, sweeping is considered a road maintenance. Okay. It is to keep materials off the road so that, vehicles will not be able to brake easily if there's debris on the road, sand, leaf debris, such things as that. It has a lot to do with safety and clear motor vehicle passage on the roads.
And for cyclists and motorcycle riders.
That all makes perfect sense, but you understand that this only happens 3 times a year, and it's scheduled. And so the sweeping happens. We all know that when there's a storm, there's always debris
Yeah.
in the road, but the sweepers don't come by. But there is a bunch of stuff that's actually in the road.
So,
My experience in my time in Niskayuna is that sweeper comes down, perfectly clean roads. It's just a schedule. Does anybody actually go out and look at the road
we do.
to see whether they need the sweeping?
We do, and in excessive storms where there is a lot of debris on the road, you see our crews out picking up limbs. You see our crews out, during heavy rains, out checking
I
corner.
have no quarrel with how clean our roads are. I really don't. My quarrel is with excessive use of heavy machinery that digs up our roads, particularly Clifton Park Road is yucky. And you can see the grooves of the sweeper. And I know that it's required by law. Somebody told me that, but do we have to run them on perfectly clean streets, particularly in the middle of the summer? And then does it have to be the entire street? Can
Yes.
it,
It makes no sense to do spot cleaning that would be counterproductive.
does it have to be 3 times a year?
It should be. It should be for public safety, yes.
Okay.
And we are credited for sweeping the roads for our MS4 program. It's a benefit to the town. It keeps debris from going in our closed drainage system, which we monitor. It's a credit to the town through what agency is
Yes.
MS4
Yeah,
through?
so New York State DEC requires us to maintain a stormwater management plan for the town. And a key component of that plan is cleaning the streets, because that material that collects on the road
Right, it
washes
gets
into the
into
catch
the-
basins, and then
That I
that
understand.
requires additional maintenance within the drainage system, but it also causes a water quality issue. So if we don't get it off of the road, it picks up oil, anything that a car leaks out, anything that can be collected by that material gets mixed in with the silt and sediment, and then gets into the catch basins, and then it gets washed into the surface waters. By getting it picked up with the sweeper, it protects water quality. And we have to report every year how many miles of road we sweep. That's part of our annual report to the state.
That's good information. Are we consistent with other towns? I can't imagine that they're sweeping the streets in the other towns this
Yeah.
off.
It's a standard practice. We're actually encouraged to sweep it as much as possible. I mean, it really does add up as far as the amount of material that we remove. We're saving it from going into the streams and into the waterways.
Okay, now the second thing I was wondering about was the paving. I see that there's 9 roads being paved this season.
That's the first group of roads for the year.
First group. Have you gone down these roads?
I have.
I've gone down them and I cannot see that they need paving. Most of them, I see that there's damage on the edges, particularly near the driveways of those cul-de-sacs, but the roads themselves look really good.
So I'll explain to you how our process works. I would like to just jump back to something, and I've heard you say it a few times. You say that our sweepers are damaging the road, okay? So when we sweep a road, it helps identify failures in the road. So the sweeper itself doesn't actually damage the road, but it does remove loose debris and failures in the roads to help identify things that need to be patched. A crumbling road. The sweeper isn't doing the damage. The sweeper is actually cleaning it and revealing to give us a better idea of the practice that we need to do going forward. We have close to 100 miles of road, okay, in this town. It's literally impossible to patch and make every road perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Trust me, if I could, I would do it. I would love nothing more
I'm
than to give
sure.
everybody a new road physically
And believe me, I don't think you should pave Clifton Park Road. I think even the way it is fine. I think it's excessive, the amount of paving the town does, because it's expensive. And I know that regular maintenance saves money in the long run. My neighbor Dave Hudson told me
Yeah.
this, that you do this to save it. But those roads, I've gone down Jade Lane, Morrow, even Orchard Park, which is heavily traveled. Is the schedule the same for all the roads?
the schedule is based on a Cornell local roads program. It's known throughout the state. It is one of the best programs. We've used this program for many, many years. They've made it into a science. You drive a road, you grade a road, you have life expectancy. It identifies failures in a road, long-term and short-term. So the average road life on a road such as Clifton Park Road, not a collector street, not a heavily traveled street, is about 20 years before you need to take action, whether it be a top coat, which we do mostly.
Can I ask, is the schedule for Clifton Park Road the same for Jade Lane?
Is it the same? It's based on the same protocol, yes.
But I don't really, maybe I need to schedule a time to talk to you about the protocol. I just don't understand. Obviously, Jade Lane is less traveled than Clifton Park Road. So in the protocol, do they take into account the amount of traffic on a road, or is it just a
It-
similar road? It's got the, Jade Lane is 20 years, Clifton Park Road's 20 years.
On an average of 20 years, we're a little behind. We're sometimes 25 years before we get to a less traveled road. So the program rates every road the same, no matter where it is, how much life it has. You can alter that schedule and put, say, a dead end street that, is on that 20-year cycle, and you have a road in a subdivision that is heavily traveled every day by traffic. So although that's on a 20-year schedule, you go visually check that road. And if that road is okay and you can bump it for a few years, you take an
Does
alternate.
that ever happen?
It does a lot.
And so you guys went down Jade Lane in Morrow, and you thought that definitely needs.
Correct. So there is different processes though. So you can save a road such as Jade and the rest of them. You can top coat them roads by just raising the catch basins on the side, doing your, when we do a road, all the infrastructure is checked. We clean all our drainage pipes. We fix any failures or anything like that. The water and sewer department checks all their water valves, all their fire hydrants, all their shutoffs. Sewer department checks all their manholes, checks them for leaks, raises their catch basins. They do any kind of mason work or anything to make them 100%, so when we do a road in all. So your infrastructure is protected, your water and sewer,
I've seen the roads done. It's beautiful. I've seen Regent Street done more than the twice in the 25 years I've been here.
so our current paving system. So you can take a road that is, it may cost us 20 to 30,000 to repave, surface pave it, as long as the sub base is in a condition that you can save it. You take that same road
Right.
and go into total failure where you have to dig it up, replace the sub base and all that. You're looking at over 500,000 a mile.
I understand that completely. There just seems to be a huge difference. And I think if you look at these roads here, I don't know. And you know much more than I do. I'm just trying to think of it just seems like there's a lot of excess capacity here.
So the longer, it's inevitable, every road will have to be paved at some
Obviously.
time.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I've done this 36 years. It never gets cheaper.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
It's a pay me now or pay me later and pay me a lot more later. I think we've always had a good program. We're very well budgeted for our pavement. One of the things probably a lot of people don't know is we get a lot of that money back in chips and state government. It gets returned to us. It supplements our paving. So a good majority of what we spend a year in paving is reimbursed to us through the state. So it's not really a burden to the taxpayers.
I've taken way too much of your time this morning on this. Is there a way to make an appointment to talk to you?
Absolutely. You can call my office anytime. I'll
Thank
stop
you.
by your
I
house.
really appreciate it because I don't mean to be unpleasant or anything. I just want to understand.
I think when people are educated a little more, and trust me, I get a million phone calls a year. My street's worse than that street. I
Oh,
try to,
no,
ex-
and that's not me.
I
I'm
try
just
to
trying
explain the
be A little
process.
bit more judicious about it.
Yeah.
I don't mind driving on Clifton Park Road the way it is.
Yeah.
I think it's probably good for another couple of years, but it's a lot worse than any of these streets that are on this list.
Yeah.
They seem like they can go for another 5 years to me, but I don't
That's
know.
not our paving for the year. That's the first round. I don't have my
Lord
full
help us. All right, so I'm curious to, tell me.
785
Yeah,
9753.
Yeah.
You'll get my secretary and
I'm sorry.
I can make an appointment to come see you.
Without the.
Ray Smith.
Ray Smith. Thank you.
I hope that helps to educate you a little bit, and I'd be more than happy to meet with you. And
I so much appreciate that.
Not a
'cause
problem.
I feel like I've taken way too much time here. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ray, go ahead. Go.
Another resident. Oh,
I'm sorry, do you have something you'd like? Can you come up to the microphone? Tell us your name and address,
Do you want these? I printed them for you. So everybody can look at it? All
Sure.
right, I only have 4.
Okay.
This is about my water bill.
All right, can you wait
it's-
we're gonna do the highway portion.
yeah.
You're here about water and sewer?
Yeah.
Okay, we're
I
gonna do
don't
the
think
highway
that's
portion
what
and
we
then
do,
we'll
guys.
get into that and we'll have you speak then. Is that all right? Thank you.
That's a map.
All right, Ray, go ahead with your portion and we'll,
Okay, I'll make it lickety split. Okay, so highway crews, as always, out trimming trees, still doing resident requests, from some of the winds and rains we had, tree branches snapped off up in the trees, so they're working on them. The hot box is out patching, periodic deep potholes and basins that have been repaired by the highway crews. A few small drainage projects during the recent heavy rains. We go out and clean our end sections in the subdivisions to avoid any kind of backup, kind of a routine thing. Personnel, highway and parks, we have filled one of the 2 full-time vacancies. We have done some interviews. I hope to have a candidate for the board meeting this month.
let's hope.
I will get that through the HR department and to Elena upon my decision.
How about your summer help?
Summer help, we did a small round of summer help. I think we got what we need to get going. I think we did 5 or 6 the last meeting, so we will not have any more, to my knowledge, this month.
My question, Ray, is what is the position title for me to put on the
That's gonna
agenda?
be, grounds maintenance worker full-time. And I'll put that all on the sheet, the appointment sheet.
That's fine. I just, for the agenda that comes
Yeah.
out, I just want to make sure I had that right.
That's full-time. Okay, parks crews have started cleaning in the parks. They've been doing that for the last month. We've brought back all the mowers from storage. They've been serviced. You'll see them. They've been mowing between the raindrops this week, so you'll see them out doing the boulevards and in the different complexes that the town owns. So you'll start to see them doing them type of things. We have a small crew on drainage at the baseball fields. All the soil is in. Thank you, Dan and Matt, again. They came out and did some final grades for us. Very helpful. They built us a grid out there with the stakes and gave us our final marks to finish that up. All the material, we finished up hauling the material in yesterday. Started grading it before we got the downpour. So that's weather dependent, but we're moving forward and, realistically, we're hoping to be out of there by the end of next week if weather lets us finish up our job. So, and then obviously we'll be moving on to the front patio here, the work that was started in Fieldstone Estates. So there's many projects to do. we'll separate small crews doing these bigger projects, and the guys will be out mowing and working in the parks as well, getting pavilions ready for rental, sports programs and such. Yard waste pickup. So the truck's been circulating for almost the last month on a random pickup. Our scheduled pickup starts on Monday, May 8th, which is next Monday. So I encourage people to look on the website, look up the flyer for your scheduled day. And I would suggest that you put your stuff out the night before, even if it's raining or whatnot. Because going down the road and picking up everybody, but you missed mine, we don't have time to go back. So please have it out the night before.
Get it.
Would be helpful for us. We start at 6:30 in the morning. So please do that. Number 6, lawn damage. The crews have all gone through their own routes, done repairs for what damages were caused by plowing. You always scuff up a corner, or when you push the intersections out, we do a little damage on the edges. So the plow driver and the wingman and their foreman all go through their own routes and correct that, rake it out, remove any dead fall, and reseed that. So that is done.
What happens with the residents that might be on a county road? Would they be
County
part of
roads,
it?
they can reach out to the county. If they reach out to us, we generally, or email us, we forward that email to the county.
Okay.
And, as they call, when we identify where they live, we help to facilitate them getting what they need. Number 7, paving. The town will start prepping for the first round of roads for the season. I've attached a list. We found it very beneficial to hand notices out to the people that are being impacted as to how the progress will work, because we are out there early and we do have air hammers going and air hammering basins and trucks and machines clanking up and down the road. So we found it very very good to keep them apprised to what we're doing. It cuts down on the phone calls. It makes it so that a resident can go out and talk to our crews with any concerns they have, or they might have a moving truck coming in. It just helps coordinate it and keeps everything moving and keeps them informed. So they'll be seeing them letters go out soon.
You also post when you get close to the
We
paving
do.
date.
We post when we're paving, because people cannot park on the road when we pave, and sometimes people go away for the weekend and we're paving Monday morning and they leave their car parked out on the road, so we can't have that. So, like I say, keeping them informed in what we're doing is a very big thing of it. And I touched a little earlier on the efforts that are given from all departments in this. The residents are assured that they have a good product when they're done. We take a lot of pride in what we do, and everybody works well together, and in the end, we have a good product. So kudos to everybody involved in that. It's a lot of work. And I did attach the schedule, which is the first round. And I will do this as we move on. When these are done, I will post the next rounds of roads to go. And we're expecting that these roads should be ready to pave sometime in June. Because we do use a subcontractor, we have to give them a tentative date of when we will be ready. And so they're tentatively scheduled for sometime in June. And that's weather permitting. When we get rain, they fall behind a day. So we do our best effort to try to stay on schedule. Number 8, resolution needed. We're making some calls to see when our new equipment is expected to arrive. As per the budget process, one in, one out. So we'll get a better idea of when stuff may be coming in. We'll get these resoed and we'll get these on the auction for sale. Again, you know how we do the auction thing. We sell our vehicles when we feel we can get the most for them.
Right. So you're gonna get it on ahead of, well, be
We get
ready
it on ahead of
Ready.
time, and
as soon as you get your new stuff.
we always watch the market to see if it's up or down. So we try to sell these things when we can get the most money back. So, but at least they'll be done, and we'll be able to move on that. The sweeper has been out for almost a month now. We started in the older section of town due to the heavy volume of stuff on the road, and with the upcoming NISCA Day, to ensure, the safety of the people during that event. It's going to enable us to be able to patch up some roads ahead of time before that. So you'll see that going on here in the next couple weeks, trying to get everything tidied up over there before the NISCA Day event. And number 10 is just open discussion. Spring projects, like I mentioned, right off the top of my head, we have Fieldstone Trails. We have some projects going on over in River Road Park. We have some projects going over on in Avon Crest Park. Thanks to the supervisor and board for the grants to do these projects at no cost to the residents. So those are just some things going on as far as that. And
All right, and you and I have got to get our calendars together. Hopefully for next week, we can meet in the afternoon over there at the rec center.
Yep.
With those people. So after the meeting, let's get our calendars together, and then Gene can start one of those, an email chain with the Google Meet.
yep,
thing.
for the trails. Yeah.
Make sure we include everybody on that. I think we need to walk those trails. There
Yep.
aren't really trails there now, but kind of figure out, where they want to go. You've gotten some information about that, yes?
Yeah, if it hasn't been finalized where they're gonna go, because I was working with National Grid with the map that was provided to me. So if that's changing, I'll need to know because we'll have to change our application with National Grid.
Okay, so we're gonna go over and walk that with them. I don't think that's anything that's gonna change, but we'll know
Okay.
that by the end of the week and next week, and we'll
Okay.
make sure that that's all good.
Okay.
We we just gotta get an idea where they wanna put these trails,
Okay.
in the woods.
Oh, and that portion. Okay.
And then one other item that we've been working on came through the supervisor's office was a drainage issue on Dean Street. Collaborative effort between Dan, Laura's office, and the highway department as to there's an issue with some backyard drainage. We're researching easements. Obviously, Dean Street's a county road, but sometimes the town does have backyard drainages. So everybody's on board and everybody's looking for easements. And if it's a homeowner thing, we want to be able to respond to the resident in that matter. So that's just one that popped up just recently. So all hands are on deck on that, looking for a solution for that.
Okay, great. Anything else in open discussion for transportation public facilities? Okay, done with that section of the meeting. Now we'll move on to Public Works. We already reviewed the minutes and approved the minutes. Okay, now we're in the water and sewer portion of the meeting, so please come forward, state your name and address.
Hi, I'm Katrin Malin. The address is 3406 State Street, Schenectady, New York, 12304. It's Graham's Coffee Parlor. So basically, I just put all this together so you can see I got this astronomical bill and I didn't have any issues. I have been explained everything from John. I have learned a lot about water. So I do understand the position that the town is in and the position that I am in. But as you can see, based off of these numbers, I've had a very consistent water flow. I have a lot of plumbing in my business. I run a coffee shop. I plumb it. I take care of my equipment. And since we put the new reader on, I've only consumed 525 gallons per day, which is on par for my average. And this bill that I received for basically $5,000, and I was halfway through my next read when I received the meter, when I received the bill, says that I was consuming 4,400 gallons per day. So I didn't change anything in my business. There was no plumbing issue, and this happened. So since we put the new meter on 20 days ago, I've consumed 10,000 gallons total, which would have been 2 days of my previous consumption on my last bill. So I'm just basically saying, please, this is a devastating bill for me and my small business. I have stayed open the entire time through COVID. I am being a responsible person in my business. I have, as you can see, my water consumption went down when I upgraded my boiler system and also got a new hot water heater. Like immediately when I made enough money, I put my money back into my business to make sure that I'm being responsible. So if there's anything to help me with this, because this is a lot of money for me, I'm alone. That's it. I don't have a big business to back me. So that's what I have to say.
Okay, so we run into these situations quite a bit, more than you would think. And we're then what we do is we talk to our town engineer to investigate all of this. He made me aware of this yesterday, that you might go to the meeting this morning. So I think he does have some information about the meter and if there were any issues or problems with that. So I'm gonna see if he can speak to that.
Sure. So we did take the meter back to our shop and put it on our test bench. We do that when people request confirmation, which
Yeah.
we did run the test, and the meter did actually test a little slow because meters tend to slow down as they get older.
I was there. I do know, and I understand.
Okay. And I did speak to John, and in a situation like this, he'll go out and try to help customers identify any situation that may be leading to the increased use. He did mention that you did do some maintenance or some work on a reverse osmosis filter.
Yes, and I do have something to say about that,
Okay.
because it just seemed like a way to say yep, that was it, even though we have no way to prove it, because I fixed that reverse osmosis at the end of January. So that doesn't make any sense based off of the January to, where are we? The January reading where I said January to April 12th, I was still up an average of 4,405, which would mean that the entire time I was consuming that much. But that was only maybe 20 days of the reverse osmosis. So what about March and half of April?
I would gladly meet with you if you'd like, and we can look at the numbers in more detail. But typically, I cannot find, since we put meters, the new meters that we have in our system in 20 years ago, we have not found a single incident where the meter's overread. If a meter is going to fail, it typically fails on the benefit of the customer and not on the benefit of the town. But I would gladly look at the detailed numbers. You have some time until your bill is due. We can continue to look at it for you.
I'm just kind of feeling like which we can talk about, because I'm not going to stand here and keep talking about it, but I'm just going to say that you're assuming that something was wrong, and I have no way to prove that there wasn't actually anything wrong. So what if there wasn't anything wrong? What if, like, I get the position that everybody's in, but I also don't think that my $5,000 bill is that big of a deal for my tiny little coffee shop compared to what other people are paying and how this personally affects just me.
I understand. And unfortunately, when the water goes through the meter, we have to bill for it. It's
I
the
understand.
nature of the meters. And I don't know of anything, we can discuss trying to help in the future to make sure that there are no issues going forward. But historically, we haven't done much in the way of, we've never forgiven I don't recall ever forgiving a bill. Because if we did that for one business, then we'd have to do it for all other businesses as they come in. And I understand that it's a hardship. I don't know if there's any other options.
We try to look for the reason, right? So this has happened before. We had a restaurant recently had a similar situation. And then again, through some detective work out there in the field, they found out what the problem was. That particular establishment had a problem with their ice machine that was consuming the water. And we want to make sure that our equipment, the meter, is working properly. We don't want to burden you with anything that is not correct. And that's why Matt went and tested it. And as he said, he's more than happy to meet with you and send somebody else out and check and try to find out what occurred.
Right. But there isn't anything happening now since we put the new reader on.
We have also allowed for payments in the past to help spread the costs out over time, if that would be helpful for you as well.
I mean, to be helpful, I didn't have $5,000 that I was planning on paying this bill this month.
Right. We have definitely done that
Yes.
in the past with businesses, people that have large bills like this, and we've spread it out. I'm not sure what the time frame is, but I think that's something we can work out, right? That's allowed.
So the business owner met with you and you tested the meter.
You came in and met with John.
Yeah, I went with John to the testing facility and I watched it happen and he tested the meter. He also was very informative and told me that the meter is never wrong, which I believe him because it is his field. I am not somebody who tests water meters. So I knew that when I went there that there was nothing going to be wrong with the water meter. But I didn't touch anything in my business and we put on a new reader. And now all of a sudden, I'm back down to only consuming 10,000 gallons in 20 days. So for me, I'm a little like, that doesn't make any sense. But I get it. Believe me, I've learned a lot about water. I get it. And I understand the position that everybody's in.
So the new reader that's on the meter that he installed will have the ability to download daily and hourly consumption, so we can even more detail.
Right, which we've
provide
gone
information.
over, which John has come and
Okay.
showed me what's happening and everything is normal. And it says that there's always a leak, obviously, because I have an ice machine and that does run, but it's running completely normal now that there's a new reader on.
Not that this is the case, but one of the issues we've had in the past was related to an ice maker.
Yeah,
And because the issue with an ice maker is when it runs, you don't see the water. If you had a leaky toilet, you would see it. If you had a leaky faucet, you would see it. Where an ice maker, it cycles through, goes right back into the drain.
so if it was my ice machine, I think that in the past 20 days, it probably would have been doing something similar and it's also gotten warmer. And I actually just had somebody come in and look at my ice machine to make sure everything was fine, and everything was fine.
These are some of the things we can do to try to help you, to try to identify if it's a intermittent issue or if it's something that's going to come back. It's not going to come back, just to try to help keep abreast of what's going on and try to avoid future high bills.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Matt. Start with Elena, attorney items.
I'm hopeful that we'll have the T-Mobile contract on for this month's meeting. The outside sewer user agreement for 876 Pierce Road, this had been on previously as a sewer district extension, but we've been working with the homeowner on Pierce Road that was looking to tie into the sewer. And based on that conversation, it looks as though we're actually going to explore the outside user agreement versus an actual sewer district extension. So that shall also be on for resolution this month. And last, I asked Matt to add the Whitmire Drive Sewer District Extension back onto the agenda. We had it on a while ago, and I needed to do some research. So I asked that he took it off until I had an answer. And Matt may have to jump in here a little bit to explain, but I can explain the legal portion of it. So we did have a petition from at least one homeowner for a sewer district extension. And as you all probably know, we have to look at the property values and the number of parcels that would be included in the sewer district extension and determining whether we can move forward with it. Previously, the answer was no, that we could not move forward with it. That's still the answer, but one of the questions that had come up in between now and the prior no was there is one parcel on that strip on Whitmire Drive that had an outside user agreement. And if that parcel was included, then we'd have the numbers that we need in order to move forward. Previously, it was not included. Typically, with an outside user agreement, our agreements state that if there were to be a sewer district extension at some point in the future, then they're an automatic yes opt-in. However, for reasons that maybe Matt can explain better than I can, we cannot include that outside user agreement in that parcel into the sewer district extension, because when we do a sewer district extension, the town board needs to certify that each parcel who is a portion of that sewer district extension will benefit from the sewer district extension, and that particular parcel will not benefit. And that's where I need Matt to explain why he will not benefit.
Sure. The existing property that Elena was talking about is adjacent to the other properties that would benefit from the extension, but that parcel is directly connected to a trunk line that runs through the parcels via an easement. So there would be no benefit by extending the public sewer. It would be a different connection that would have to run further up Whitmire, and that parcel would never connect to that extension. It's already connected and will never, it's not feasible or necessary to connect to the new portion of the public line, so therefore it wouldn't benefit.
What, so there's a certain number of parcels that are needed for an extension?
Essentially, you add the parcels, the number of parcels together, their total, is it assessed value, Beth, do you know? I think it's their total assessed value, and then you have to have a certain percentage of the total assessed value for all of the parcels that would be included in the sewer district extension when it's done by petition to move forward with that sewer district extension.
Okay, so right now they don't have enough of the residents that wanna
Right.
participate to get to that level.
That's correct. And had that outside user agreement parcel been included, then they would have had enough. But since we can't certify that that parcel will benefit, we cannot include them as part of the sewer district extension.
So you need to get other parcels that want to get on.
Correct.
And who does that? Is that up for the neighbors to try to lobby their other neighbors to do that? Do we try to assist them in that?
The petition was by the residents. So, and I believe back when this was first explored, the former town attorney did at least attempt to get the signatures and was unsuccessful in getting the requisite signatures we needed to move forward with that.
So do we have to go back out and try that again, or we're just, I mean,
No, I mean, my position is that it's just dead at this point in time until such time that that there's somebody who does want to opt in and they want to repetition, but I think it'd have to be a whole new process at this point,
but
especially because there'd be new numbers and everything. The numbers wouldn't be the same.
the residents that want to get on the sewer district could go and talk to their neighbors and ask,
Correct.
and come to us and say, it looks like we have enough, right?
Then we'd go back out again, right? At
Then we
that
would go
point, we
back
need to
out
know that
again.
there's interest.
Mm-hmm. And verify that.
Yeah, because we actually, well, they can get the signatures, but we actually need like a petition with signatures. It can't just be a verbal.
Okay.
I have one item that may or may not need a resolution. 5 Bergen Place for a fence easement agreement was on the agenda at one point, and just want to make sure, I don't know if it ever went through the board.
Matt and I talked about this at the end of the day yesterday. I didn't have a chance to look into it. I recalled it, and we recalled that I was waiting on some information from the property owner,
Yeah.
but I don't remember where we left off. So if that hasn't been done and we have the information, then we can move forward this month.
Great, thank you. Water and sewer maintenance items. We have at least 2 open positions in the water and sewer maintenance crew. We've been interviewing over the last 2 weeks. I think we've probably interviewed close to 10 candidates. I think we finally have a good group of people to pull from. Honestly, that sign out on Route 7 pulled in a lot of interest. So I will have 2 names for the town board to appoint.
Same question to you. What are the titles of the positions?
It's going to depend on the people we hire. It's either going to be water and sewer maintenance worker or maintenance worker, depending on their qualifications. The next one, pickup trucks. It's been on the agenda for a while because we keep finding local trucks and trying to find them locally. I think we're going to fall back to the Onondaga bid because I cannot get cooperation from some of the local dealers to want to sell to the town through the mini bid process. So we're just going to go probably through the Onondaga bid. So we're working on getting the numbers together for that. It's money that was set aside for at least 2 trucks for the fleet. Yep, yeah, working on it. Thank you.
Do you want to elaborate, or actually, would you elaborate on the trucks you're purchasing, that they were budgeted for, and why you're purchasing? I think the resident earlier
Sure.
had a question about different trucks and the fleet and why they're necessary.
So these would be replacements for existing trucks in our maintenance crew. They're utility body trucks, so they're pickup trucks with a built-in toolbox in the back. It's replacing trucks that are, I think, a 05 and an 06 vintage with well over 150,000 miles on them.
Do you have to
Come
go
down.
to the?
Do the people that use these trucks take them home?
No,
Do any town workers have town vehicles?
the on-call personnel for the water and sewer crew does take the truck home because they respond from home. But that name changes weekly.
Okay.
For whoever's on call.
Whoever is on call, yes.
So
Because-
town employees don't have company cars?
No, it's not. Well, water and sewer crew is not standard.
And I do not.
And I'm sorry, did you talk to Dave Karash at Metro Ford? Because he's a Niskiuna guy.
We are looking at one of the trucks there. That
Okay,
was one of the ones. Yep.
not that I just know him as a soccer dad.
Yeah, the trucks that they have on the lot are a little bit more than what we want. There's the size of them are a little bit too large, but we're looking anytime we see a truck available, we inquire because it's a lot faster to get one that's on the lot than it is to go through a bid. Where'd that be? Okay, I just want to mention, I have a couple items too to put on the surplus resolution that Ray's looking to do. So I'll provide that information to Elena. That would be our existing camera truck that we'll be replacing hopefully as soon as the end of June. And one of the 10-wheel chassis that we'll have once we take delivery of our new dump truck. And possibly a couple roll-off containers from the old roll-off containers from the transfer station and from the sewer plant. And just an update on what the water and sewer maintenance crews are doing. Right now, they're doing the paving repairs and landscaping that are associated with the water main work that was performed over the winter. They're flushing hydrants and repairing hydrants as they go through the town. And the sewer crew, they've been working on some major electrical upgrades and repairs at some of our sewer pump stations, and just the general maintenance necessary to keep everything running without any issues. Utility billing, just want to mention that the first quarter, the first quarter of 2023 corporate utility bill warrant, it will be ready for the board to approve. That will require a resolution. And just a reminder that the spring residential commercial utility bills are due by the 24th of the month. Wastewater treatment plant, we're beginning to increase the number of trucks at the wastewater plant with deliveries of organic waste. We've made some fine tuning on some of the equipment down there, and we're working with the vendor to increase the efficiency of how it operates and minimize the amount of labor necessary to have it working at optimal performance. We have a plant trainee opening. We had an opening for plant trainee and an opening for a plant mechanic. I cannot find anyone interested in becoming a plant mechanic. I mentioned we've interviewed 10 people for the water and sewer maintenance crew. Of all the applicants that have come in, I've asked if they were interested in that position as well, and they all want the overtime, so they all gravitate towards the water and sewer maintenance positions. So I asked Beth if it was possible to modify the structure down there to have an additional plant trainee rather than a mechanic. The pay is the same, slightly different civil service requirements, but I think that would enlarge the group of people that we're looking at. And we've had people interested in that position in the past, and I think that would better suit the plant long-term anyway, because it would get us towards having additional operators, because we're finding the operators on the open market are very hard to find. And if we have to homegrown them within the ranks there, I'd rather do that. So we're looking at appointing up to two plant trainees, and I have some interest from some applicants, and we're also still working through the existing civil service list, which doesn't look very promising, but we'll see what we can do to get that filled. C is the mechanic position that I mentioned before. I think we may end up going, unless someone comes forward and says they want to be a plant mechanic and they interview well, we're going to go with the 2 trainee model rather than a mechanic and a trainee. We're still working on repairing the blower motor on one of the blowers for one of our tanks. Once we have the equipment taken apart, we'll have a better idea of what the cost will be. I don't believe it will require a resolution because of the value of the repair, but I just want to leave it on there as a tentative. And something that just came up the other day after this was posted, the agenda, we may want to look at buying another roll-off container for use down at the wastewater plant. These are the containers that we use to press our sludge into. There's a lifespan of the containers because of the material that they're hauling is pretty aggressive, and would aid in some of the flexibility down there for the operations if they had more than one. That we've had up as upwards of 3 or 4 in the past. We're operating with 1, but if we had a second one, it would be more flexible for the operations down there. So there's a tentative resolution for that. It's roughly the cost will be about $10,000 for one.
You'd be able to do that within your budget.
Yes. And then what we would do is some of the older ones, which are beyond repair, we'll auction those off. They're not safe for transport across the road, and someone may want them for a scrapyard, but we'll at least get some value back for those. Water treatment plant, the upgrade continues. We met with the electrical contractor the other day. The work is progressing at both water pumping stations. The new controls are going in. High-speed internet was installed at the joint pump station, which will be critical in tying everything together. We are finally going to get rid of our Verizon lease line, which I think we pay 3 times the amount for just a dedicated phone line than we would pay for a high-speed internet connection, which makes no sense. And we're finally getting away from that. We get much more information than just whether or not we get an alarm from that leased line. B is a contract to build a transformer pad. Part of the upgrades of the plant, we looked at the electrical service for the plant, and it dates back to the 1960s. And National Grid is working with us and paying a large portion of the cost to replace the existing power supply, provide a new transformer. And the town's responsibility is from the transformer to the building. And we just need to get a price to do some grading and some installation of conduit. These are some of the things we pulled out of the larger contract to try to save cost. And I've been meeting at 10 o'clock this morning to talk to a contractor to try to get some additional pricing information on that. So should have a price and a recommendation to the board for the next meeting. We may not even need a resolution depending on the scope of the work. We're trying to do as much as we can in-house with our own staff. And then C is the electrical connection work from that transformer.
We'll need to grant an easement to National Grid
Oh, we
to
will.
the new transformer. And so I've got a form
Okay,
from National Grid that I'll get over to you, Elena. to
okay, so
grant them
we'll have a
an
resolution for
easement,
that then.
Depending on where we locate that transformer.
Okay. So do we have an existing easement now for the one that's there now?
I believe there's an easement where it is right now.
Would we give that up or would we?
Well, the transformer, well, yeah, I guess.
Well, it's their
the
easement though.
transformer,
It's their easement. They would have to give it up.
Yes, yes, it's on our property. We're granting them an
Yeah.
easement.
So we just keep it or what?
This is the first I'm hearing of
Yeah,
anything,
it's
so
first
until
time.
I see
It's
maps
new.
and have
It's
more of
something
a
that came up as-
conversation, I can't answer that.
Let's sit down and discuss it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We just got that from the discussion with them.
Okay. So the item C, if we do add the additional electrical work from the new transformer to the building, our electrical contractor who's doing the work right now for the upgrade would have to could provide a change order to do that work. But we're also going to look at getting an additional contractor to give us a price so we can figure out whether or not the price that they're quoting is reasonable. And if not, we would go with an outside contractor to do that connection because it was sort of an unknown with what National Grid was going to do for us if we were just going to leave the old transformer or not. But Grid came through and gave us everything at no cost. So
That's
it's
good
worthy.
because I don't usually do that.
No, we had a lot of meetings with them to try to convince them, and they're very good. They gave us conduit too. So they gave us all the conduit.
We use a lot of electricity too.
Yeah.
You didn't put in here also at the wastewater treatment plant that you've been hauling some extra fill there
That's at the water plant.
at
Yes.
the water plant.
Yeah. So we have a berm that was constructed back just after Hurricane Irene to protect critical components of the plant from flooding from the river. And the chief plant operator, Josh Walter, had asked if we could do some modification of that to protect additional structures down there within the berm. And we had availability of material from the school project, actually. It was good clay material, which is excellent for use in a berm. So we're hauling in and stockpiling the material, and we're going to make some changes to our berm that will protect additional well houses from flooding. and allow us to stay operational during any flooding events. Thankfully, we haven't had anything that equals the flooding we had from Irene and Lee, but we just have to be prepared just in case.
Thankfully, but best to be prepared, right? Especially when
Absolutely.
you can get the fill at very close by
Yeah,
for free,
Free.
for
Yes.
free,
and it's the right type of material too.
right?
I wouldn't want it if it was poor, but it's ideal for this application.
It'd be thousands and tens of thousands of dollars if we had to pay for all the fill that we
Mhm.
want to bring in there. So we're getting it for free. Good job.
That's all I have. The next meeting, if we follow the calendar, would be the 8th.
June 8th, 8 a.m. Everybody all right with that? Does anybody else have anything?
I'm just gonna add that we have begun our negotiations with the Water and Sewer Union. So whenever we have completed that, we can discuss with the entire board in executive session, but that will probably be on for resolution. Maybe not this month, but probably in the near future.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, I'll accept the motion to adjourn. Motion, I need a second on the motion for adjournment.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.